Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the two-game main slate at DraftKings. The goal, as always, is to help you win some money. If I do anything here that does help you, please hammer that like button and also subscribe to the channel. We do see in YouTube analytics that we get a lot of people coming in and viewing things multiple times, but maybe not always subscribing. So please go ahead and do that. You get alerted to future videos just like this, and you also help us out a bit and grow the community. Speaking of community, you can head over to our Patreon, just $5.99 a month to get access to all of our picks, extra advice, and of course our Discord. Really fun, engaged community in there, and just not a lot of money to get in there, talk shop, and get picks for NBA, for all the other stuff we offer, and of course picks and stacks for MLB too. So let's get into it here, position by position we go. The Knicks and the Pistons. That game only has like a 2-point spread. It's in Detroit. The Pistons can even up the series here. Surprisingly so. The Pistons are a pretty gritty, defensive-minded team. So they've been a bit of a tough draw for the Knicks. I do kind of lean towards the Knicks probably closing this thing out. And the fact that we do have an elimination game, obviously those can always get out of control. But hey, it's a 2-game slate. You just got to go with what we have. And then we have the Nuggets and the Clippers in LA. Denver went up 3-2 in Game 5. And they are down by almost a 7-point spread here against the Clippers. Obviously, another elimination game. It just is what it is. I'm not really going to try to lean too hard and take a crazy stance as far as like, oh, who do I think is going to win and how the games are going to go. I just think if you're rolling out a lot of lineups, part of your strategy should be considering leaning heavily into, some type of narrative, just because that's kind of how things go usually. So, the way this Clippers-Nuggets series has played out, I would anticipate the Clippers tying this series and forcing the Game 7. I certainly think the Pistons are capable of doing that. I just think the way their series has gone, I wouldn't be that shocked if the Knicks did close out in 6 games here. That said, Kade Cunningham still looks really, really good at 9-7. I don't know if he's going to be like the guy I feel like I have to get, just because James Harden and Jalen Brunson aren't that far below him in terms of projection and like usage and ceiling. But Kade is still not priced up to where he actually should be. Relative to the slate, Kade is the best stud. He's not even 10K. He's projecting for more than 52 fantasy points. He's been nuking in this series the whole damn time. Like last game was, in game 1, he only had 45 fantasy points, but like that in the last game are his worst games. He's otherwise been really, really good. Monster usage rate, 30% or more in every single game. That's not going to stop with the Pistons back against the wall at home. So he looks awesome at 9.7. That said, he is coming in at 49% ownership, so I do not mind at all going under that percentage. I think I still like him. I'll come close to that, but I don't think I'd go over, just because the money we're investing in him and guys like James Harden and Jalen Brunson, and you could even argue Jamal Murray, just are better point per dollar plays on this slate. So Harden was absolute dog shit in the last game. He did not show up at all. He had foul trouble. He really wasn't even aggressive. He only took 9 shots, and the game before that only 11 shots. Just has not exhibited much of a consistent ceiling. Game 1, 60 fantasy points, so we thought we were in for a fun one. Just the usage has been dropping, like 19 and 20% in the last 2 games. Like he does this sometimes historically in the playoffs where he just like disappears for no real reason. At home in Game 6, like I would consider, because of the price discount here, I would very much consider giving him the benefit of the doubt and just kind of buying into him as a $1,000 cheaper chalky play at point guard as opposed to Kade. I think just ceiling wise, projection wise, like everything really makes him grade out as an extremely comparable play to Kade. So if he's going to be slightly less owned and he's going to save you $1,000, I think Harden is just a better play. That said, I think Brunson is my favorite point guard play of the entire slate. I like that the projection is not like egregious, because it's just going to naturally force people to go pay for this, in theory, ceiling game with Kade, or go bet on Harden too. So those guys are carrying monster ownership. I have no problem getting to them. If I do get to them, it's going to be Harden first. But Brunson is the guy I want here. He's had a monster usage rate as well. This last game was the only game in the series where he dipped below 30% usage rate, and he still had 29. Like he's just been rock solid. Like he was bad in the last game, could not hit the broadside of the barn, 4 for 16 shooting. So when Brunson doesn't make shots, he's naturally going to struggle. So it is what it is. And the matchup is not amazing either. But all these things play into Brunson being supremely overlooked. So, you could make an argument for sure as to like fading Jokic at like 11-6 and just loading up on the guards. But if I'm going to load up on the guards, I'm going to get Brunson in at that ownership, and then I'll kind of figure out Harden and Cade across the rest of my lineups. And, Jamal Murray to a lesser degree. So right now, that is how I ranked him as far as like my own personal priority: Brunson, Harden, Cade. I do love Cade in terms of a sheer ceiling and the fact that he is not actually expensive enough relative to the slate and like who he's been and everything. I just think on a 2-game slate here, Brunson and Harden grade out as better plays. Jamal Murray is kind of a back burner play for me. He is appealing based on price and based on ownership. So it just seems like the field is going to adjust and not box score watch here, which is an appropriate thing to do. Like he nuked last game, 43 real points. This is something he does in the playoffs sometimes, just pop off out of nowhere. He hit like an insane amount of shots. How did he shoot here? Let me check this. He shot just a blistering percentage, 17 for 26. Insane. But look at the rest of the series. Like, it hasn't been a good matchup. He has not shot the ball well. I don't know if I really feel like it's likely that he's going to come out here and just nuke again 2 games in a row. I would imagine the Clippers adjust. It's on the road. The Clippers are obviously going to be hungry and they're favored in this game. Like, I just think a lot of things work against Murray. That said, it's the second game, last game of the night. He is still a nice price. He projects okay, and nobody's going to be on him. So I do think Jamal Murray is interesting for tournaments, but he's not a priority for me. I'd rather pay the $900 or $1,000 more and get to Brunson and Harden, just because naturally I'm leaning Knicks, Clippers as far as like what teams do we think are going to win and how do we want to play as far as like narrative street goes. That's where I am at. But 16% on Jamal Murray coming off a nuke game, that is certainly interesting, no doubt about it. As far as value, I don't love the value of point guard. This isn't where I want to save my money, really. And in general, I do feel like I'm leaning towards more of a balanced build. So I don't think we have to go get like Chris Dunn or take a chance on Miles McBride and that. Like Dennis Schroeder, I think he's okay. 4.2K, nothing wrong with that. Projects for 26 minutes. His minutes have just been like not super reliable. So he's okay. I don't mind getting to him, just not a guy I feel like amazing about. Russell Westbrook, I think he was pretty darn good in the last game. Yeah. 8 for 15 shooting, 31% usage rate, way more minutes than he had. He got hurt in the game before. But he's going to get like 25 minutes or so, and he's a great per minute guy. So if you want to play Russ at that price, I'm all for it. I love that he's not going to be owned at all. 4.8K for Russ is really, really cheap. Again, I do lean Clippers here as far as like who I think is going to have more success in this game. But Russ at 4.8 is a really good value, especially since nobody apparently wants to play him. Chris Dunn is double the ownership at 3.8K. Dunn can certainly get there, but his minutes have been a little bit wonky. He has a very low usage rate. Like if he doesn't hit some shots, he's not going to get there even at 3.8. I would much rather pay $400 more for Schroeder or $1,000 more for Russ. If Dunn is going to be chalky, that is chalk I do not mind going away from. All right, over at shooting guard, Jamal Murray, he leads the way. It is not a strong position at all. If you want to go pay up for Jamal and just move on, I don't have a problem with that. That said, I do like the value relative to the slate. Mikal Bridges, monster minutes. Norm Powell, monster minutes. Christian Brown, monster minutes. Even Tim Hardaway Jr. at 4.4K, like you know me, like if you watch our videos, I am not a proponent for like going and playing a chalky THJ because he's just crazy scoring dependent. If he does not hit his shots, he could lose minutes and or just bottom out and not, pay off whatsoever. That said, he is getting major burn for this Pistons team. 33 plus minutes in 3 straight games. The usage rate is just okay relative to the price. Like the floor is bad. The ceiling is not really there consistently, but he's 4.4K and there's a reasonable chance he gets 35 minutes here in a huge elimination game at home. So he's not owned either, so that's really interesting. With Malik Beasley coming in at 4.1K and coming in with like a lot of ownership, I love Tim Hardaway Jr. It feels bad for sure. I think Dennis Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. are really good pivots off of what surprisingly is looking like a chalky Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley is still in play at 4.1K because he's cheap and he's going to get like 25 to 30 minutes if he hits his shots. An elimination game, like these guys are going to naturally be walking into a situation where they might be a little bit more likely than usual to hit these shots because it's do or die time. But it's just an easy ownership pivot, like kind of like we talked about Buddy Hield yesterday or the other day. Yeah, yesterday. Where it's like if Buddy Hield's gonna be like 45-50% owned, like just go do something else, go do anything else, and just bank on Buddy Hield not hitting a shot. So on this slate, I don't mind going away from Malik Beasley because I just feel like he and Hardaway and Schroeder are kind of all very similar. If you look at projection and price, that's just true. So just play one of the guys that isn't going to be chalky. Bogdanovich is interesting at 3.3K if you want to punt, and I think you're going to have to if you want to go get Jokic or something, especially if you want to get like Jokic and Cade. So I think he's totally in play at 3.3K, but the way he's gone this entire series, I wouldn't be that shocked if he was just an utter failure. Now, 3.3K does not have to do much to get there, so I'm not going to take like a hard stance against Boggy. It's because he's not expensive, and it's just like what the risk is. However, he's coming in at 36% ownership. So again, this is like the Buddy Hield thing. He is dirt cheap. He played well in the last game, which likely means he'll probably push for like 20 plus minutes again. They'll give him that chance to provide a spark again. I just don't know how reliable that is. Like, I don't know how much I actually trust him to get it done. I do lean the Clippers, so like it does fit the narrative that I'm leaning in this game. So I'm okay with playing Bogdanovich. I would just be a little bit underweight on him just because he's extremely volatile and like basically half the field's going to be playing him. Back up, I talked about Mikal, Brown, Powell. I think they're all kind of like the same play. I think I prefer Christian Brown because he's the cheapest option, locked into like 40 minutes if the game stays close. And he's less owned than Norm Powell. I like them all. Like I'm getting to all three of those guys a lot. I don't mind having them all on the same team. I don't mind mixing and matching. I think if I had to take a stand, it would just be underweight on Norm Powell because he's crazy owned. And obviously he's scoring dependent like a lot of these guys are. And if he doesn't hit like 18 plus real points, he's probably not going to deliver. But he's small forward eligible like both Mikal Bridges and Christian Brown are. So everybody here looks pretty good. I don't mind playing everyone there. I think Norm I would just kind of go a little bit underweight on. All right. I think that does it for shooting guard. Yeah, for the most part. All right, moving over to small forward. Josh Hart, 7K. He's too cheap. OG Anunoby, 6.4K. He's too cheap. Like all these Knicks guys are just way, way too cheap. It just is what it is. A 2-game slate, a lot of soft pricing. That's been the case with DraftKings for the entire playoffs. Like you can certainly make a case for Hart due to ownership, only $600 more, half his own as OG. OG just feels like the better play. Josh Hart does have triple-double upside. We haven't seen it a lot in this series. Like I think he did have a triple-double in one of the games. I can't remember, but like he's been fine. Like last 3 games, he's been good, 38, 44, 39. Like if he gets you that at 7K, you're pretty happy. Like there's nothing wrong with that. So he does have a ceiling, but he's just a low-usage guy. So I'm going to go with the high-usage guy. That's OG Anunoby. He actually has not had that high of a usage rate on the series. 20% in 3 games ago. That's actually surprising. I'm surprised. But he's doing enough there that I think he is probably going to offer you a better ceiling than Josh Hart on a regular basis. And he's getting monster minutes and he's cheaper. Just as I said with these other guys, if you want to just look at the ownership and make that pivot, Hart is totally in play. Certainly interesting for tournaments to go a little bit over that 16%. I just think OG is a better play. I like Mikal Bridges at 5'9", a little bit better as well. One guy I continue to like a lot is Michael Porter Jr. He did not get it done in the last game, 37 minutes, 21 fantasy points. He's been very up and down in the series. He's only had 1 good game in the series, but we know he can blow up as a scorer, and we know that he can rebound the heck out of the ball when he's feeling it. At 5'1", he just is really cheap for a guy who's going to play a shit ton of minutes. So him and Christian Brown both I like a lot. They're going to be chalky because of those reasons. That's not something I really feel like I need to take a stand on. They're just really good plays. With the ownership out of control, you can always go a little bit underweight on guys, but like those guys feel like the same as Norm, and Norm is higher owned than them. So I'm just gonna go away from Norm. Also, Azar Thompson at 4.3K, like he smashed in the last game, right? But traditionally, not a super high usage guy, not a guy they give a lot of minutes to. Also, somebody who tends to struggle with fouls. You can piggyback off of that last game, and at 4.3K, assume he's going to get there. At 50% ownership, though, I don't mind doing something else. I don't mind going down to Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't mind going up to Brown, Porter, Norm, or Mikal. I just think that Azar Thompson at 50% is something I don't have to do. I think he's an okay play because he's a really good per minute guy. And if he's going to get 34 minutes or whatever he got, what did he get last time? 28. Like if that's his ceiling of minutes, it's a little bit scary. But if he's going to push for 30 minutes, absolutely, he's a great play at 4.3K. I just think ownership and the fact that like it hasn't really gone the way he planned in the series, I would go under for sure. No, forgive me, struggling through a cough. That's probably it at this position. I am mostly going to live in that 5K range here, though. The power forward Kawhi leads the way with a 45-point fantasy projection, only 8.2K at home in elimination game. I really like Kawhi. Not super psyched about the ownership, but it's 2 games. Can't really worry about all the ownership that much. He looks good. I don't have a problem with him at all. Hart as a pay down, fine. OG, I like him. Tobias, I really like. Don't love that he's pushing 60% ownership. And a really quick way to get away from that or just get underweight on it is to pivot to Aaron Gordon, who looks really good. Similar minutes, similar price, similar projection, and he's half his own. So love Aaron Gordon. I'd be overweight on him as opposed to Tobias, but I also don't mind pairing them because they're both really good point per dollar plays here. Azar Thompson, that's fine. You can play it if you want to. I just don't really love the ownership there. That's a play I'd be under on for sure. Batum at 3.5K, I'm okay with. Like very low floor, not a very high ceiling, but he is going to get some minutes because he's a vet who can hit shots and get some defensive stats and stuff. 20 minutes from Batum, he can get there. So not a guy I'd be super overweight on, especially when he's already pulling 50% ownership, but I think he is totally fine to play. All right, let's see if we can get through it. Jokic leading the way at center, 11.6K, very, very expensive for a 2-game slate. You could really state the case that, don't fade Jokic on a 2-gamer because if Jokic – not many guys on the slate actually have the ability to get even 60 fantasy points. So Jokic delivered his ultimate floor game last game with only 53 fantasy points. And that still might be as good as anybody else has to offer. So you can make that argument. And then you're looking at the sub 10% ownership. I don't really buy that. I think he's going to be much more owned than that, especially if you go into single entry. But he's just too expensive. I'm not going to do it. Certainly going to be over 9%. I'd be closer to 15 or 20% if I'm entering a lot of lineups. And if you're doing a single entry, you certainly can play Jokic and hope the ownership is that low. I just don't know. I just think 11.6K is going to stretch you a little bit too thin. The lineups without Jokic are going to look way better. So never going to tell you not to play Jokic. Jokic is always a really good play. I just personally will be, I'm not going to be crazy overweight on him. I just think it's not hard to get overweight this current projection of ownership. But I wouldn't be playing 60% Jokic tonight personally. Cat is a big reason why. He has not been amazing in this series, but obviously he's going to get monster minutes. He's way too cheap. This is a guy who's 10K all year. Back in game 1, he showed us his ceiling of 50, or back in game 2 rather, showed us his ceiling of 58 fantasy points. He still had 42 plus in 3 other games. So it's been a tough series for him, but he has a monster ceiling. He projects decently, but one of the better projections of the slate, and he's not going to be very owned. So that's a guy I would go way over on just because if he does hit his ceiling, it's going to be a lot of fun. Love Zubac at 7.9K. Denver is a soft matchup. He hasn't exhibited an insane ceiling, that much in this series, but 32 is his worst game. So he's just a rock solid play at 7.9. And like I said, I like the Clippers here. So Zubac stands out. Duran's another guy, too cheap, really good projection, but he just doesn't really fully smashed. 39 fantasy points is always maxing out here, but he's getting good minutes. Great per minute guy. They need him. So, there is a world where at 6'5", he can top 40 fantasy points, or if not more, and totally smash. I do like him as a nice mid-range play, but he's going to be mega chalk at 65%. You can totally bet on Duran getting into foul trouble or just not getting there at 6'5". Go up to Zubac, go up to Cat, go down to Aaron Gordon. Duran's a good play, but if he's going to be 65% owned, I will go under on Duran for sure. Love Aaron Gordon, like I said before, not really interested in any of the value. However, I would keep an eye on Isaiah Stewart. If you think Duran could get into foul trouble, if Isaiah Stewart is back at 3.5K and he's going to get 15 to 20 minutes off the bench, that's a decent value. I don't mind that. And then if he is not in, Paul Reed would have some value as a sprinkle. Like I wouldn't go crazy on Paul Reed. I did that the other day when Isaiah Stewart was out, and it did not work out. So that was annoying. All right. That does it for the position by position breakdown. Obviously, things can go either way. Like a couple slates ago, I was like, oh, I want to go play Jokic and don't want to play Giannis because I thought the Bucks were going to lose that game. I thought maybe they'd even get blown out. They didn't get blown out. The game went to overtime. They did lose, but Giannis had 84 fantasy points. And like that move alone, even though I had a bunch of other good plays and had good lineups, that move sunk me. So never fun. So just you got to kind of play both sides in some situations and just find a few spots that you feel comfortable going like underweight on. So on this slate for me, I think going under on like Malik Beasley feels good. I think going under on a crazy owned Duren feels pretty good. And I think those two moves alone might be enough to get me different. And then I'm just not going to pay for Jokic that much. I think going a little bit more balanced makes sense. And then I'm going to go heavy on Brunson and a little bit lighter on Harden and Cade than the field currently is projecting to do. And then I'm getting different. I'm still getting good builds that I feel good about. Not missing out on too much upside. But if you're rolling out 20 or even 150 lineups, definitely still get a lot of Cade and Harden and Jokic and all those guys. All right. Hopefully that helps you out. If it does, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Definitely make sure you are taking advantage of the Patreon. Just $5.99 for all of the picks and the Discord. You won't find a better deal than that. All right. Thanks for watching and good luck.